15 minutes instead of 5 hours without sweating. Well, wait to hear the results. 12% improvement. 6 times better results in 15 minutes versus 5 hours.
Really?
With 3 university studies backing it up.
And how do you do that? Because I'm like, wait a minute. Am I just going to get all my time back?
Yes.
Am I going to be able to read more novels?
That's why I wrote the book.
Books?
Literally, the amount of time you brush your teeth every week is how much it takes to be cardiovascularly 6 times more fit than your friend who's addicted to cardio classes. Okay, it's worth knowing just that in the book.
Oh.
So here's how
lay it on me, Dave.
Okay, here's how it works. At Upgrade Labs, you're on an AI-driven bike measuring your heart rate. But I'll tell you to do this at home right now. It's based on a new principle that will make it into functional medicine. And this is new thinking. So this is like the seed that I'm planting. It's called slope of the curve biology. And what that means is that it's not how hard we work. It's how quickly we can turn on a signal to our operating system and how quickly we can turn it off and return to baseline. Mm-hmm. So when you're on our AI-driven bike at Upgrade Labs, measuring your heart rate, we turn the pedals all the way up to really hard for all of 20 seconds, which just completely drains you. And we're like, go as fast as you can. Ah! And then after that, breathing exercises. Go slow. And it's the speed that your heart rate returns back to normal that drives how much your body adapts. It's not how hard you worked. It's not how much you sweated.
But how do you get, I mean, that's a well-known principle that your recovery rate determines your fitness. So
no, it's not determines your fitness. It changes your fitness. This is a different principle, and it holds true for almost everything.
How do you achieve that then?
Okay. So here's how you would do it.
Because typically you would achieve improved recovery by increased fitness.
Right. So what's shocking and what the data shows is that you don't have to improve fitness. You just have to improve recovery from whatever exercise you did, and your rate of improvement of fitness goes through the roof. So in other words,
how do you improve recovery?
So in this case, by not over-exercising, it's only a 20-second sprint with resistance on it, and then you're doing breathing exercises and moving way slower than is comfortable. The problem with you and me and all of the other type A people out there, we want to work hard because we've been taught since we were little kids that people who work hard are good and people who are lazy are bad and will never be loved, even though our operating system is lazy.
So what we've been doing is working harder, not smarter.
It's almost like that was the title, right? So here's how you would do this in a park, right? Okay, now I just have to warn you, you might look funny doing this, but this is how it works. You go to the park and maybe you have a weighted vest or something, or maybe you just go to the park, however. And then you walk really slow, like so slow, like you had 2 THC gummies.
That would make me crazy.
Of course, it's actually annoying. It has to be so slow where you're almost doing like a walking meditation. And then, without warning, you sprint like there is like a tiger about to eat you. And you run as fast and as hard as you can for 20, maybe 30 seconds. Right? But it has to be so fast that you almost can't handle it. And any kind of resistance you can apply there is good. You want to drain yourself to the point you couldn't go any further. And then you would lay on your back in the park and do deep breathing exercises where your exhale is twice as long as your inhale. So through the nose.
Oh.
And you're going to do that for probably 2.5 minutes until you feel like you've calmed down. Then you're going to get up and walk like you're on more THC gummies for just a little while. And you're going to do it one more time, lay on your back until your heart rate's normal, and then you're done. Now, someone may try to give you mouth-to-mouth is the problem.
So basically just 2 30-second sprints?
In Upgrade Labs, it's only 20 seconds because I can control the resistance with AI.
So basically 20 to 30 second
And that
sprints.
works better than high-intensity interval training. Noticeably better. The reason is that you laid on your back. The reason is that you took really deep, slow breaths with a long out-breath. All we're telling the body is, because remember, these are dumb cells in your operating system. They don't know what's going on. They can't see time. They can't see tigers. They just know there must have been a tiger, and here's the trick, but I got away.
Right.
Okay? And now I'm peaceful and I'm safe. If you go to that spin class instead and you climb your first hill, the body goes, God, that was a tiger. I hope I get away. And then you don't get away because now you're running at 50% capacity. It goes, damn, the tiger's still chasing me. So I'm about to get eaten. And after 45 minutes of being hunted, your body's like, this was terrible. Yeah. Like I gave you some endorphins so you could survive and maybe even get a little high off that. But I'm not going to really allocate much to improving my status because I might get hunted like that again. This is not a safe place. So instead, I ran, I got away, now I'm safe. It's the now I'm safe signal that causes the body to allocate nutrients to muscle and to cardiovascular and to mitochondria. That's the trick. And it frees you. It's like hundreds of hours a year you get back.
I love that. It's like, it reminds me of Robert Sapolsky wrote a book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers.
Yes.
About the science of chronic stress versus acute stress, and how, zebras don't get ulcers because they basically get chased by the lion. One of them gets eaten. Then they all go back to munching their grass, and then while the lion's eating his brother or sister, and they're like fine with it.
If you wanted to learn true resilience from a vagus nerve, from a physiological perspective, you would be more like the zebra, and that means you mimic the pattern. We have the same mitochondria as zebra for the most part, and it's I'm safe. And not only
you lay on the grass and then you eat the grass.
Only if you're vegan. So
that's amazing.
But eating's important because there's two signals that scare the operating system. One is something's hunting me and I can't get away. Okay, that's chronic stress. The other one is I don't have enough nutrients. And nutrients come in two forms. One is calories, right? In fact, when I interviewed you, we talked about this a little bit on my show. And so calories are important. If you're low on calories, the way I was when I went to the gym all that time, the body's like, how am I going to improve? I don't have enough calories. So I am not going to put on muscle. I'm not going to improve cardiovascular. I'm just going to hold the line and give you stress molecules. Mm-hmm. So especially in women, I see this. It's, you might need a little bit more. If you're exercising as much as you are, you have to up your calories, and then they lose weight. They feel good. Their hair gets shiny. But otherwise, they're like, I don't know why I'm stressed all the time.
Well, that's right. I mean, over-exercising is a stress response to the body, and the little bit of stress is good. Too much is not good.
Exactly. And so what Smarter Not Harder is about is, well, let's figure out how to turn the stress on and turn it off in such a way that the body changes quickly instead of, I just worked really hard, therefore I get results.
So that's about cardiovascular fitness.
Yeah, that's just that one.
What about muscle?
Okay. Muscle is exactly the same rule. How quickly can you exhaust the muscle? All of muscle building throughout all of human history has been pick up rocks. Okay?
Pick up rocks.
Pick up rocks. And by the way, all of cardio has been run away from tigers. So pick up rocks. A while ago, someone's like, what if we concentrate the rocks into kettlebells and plates? Okay, so pick up concentrated rocks. Okay, now I've spent lots of time in the gym. I don't spend lots of time in the gym right now because I have labs for that. But when you pick up those things up, you can exhaust your muscles. I mean, look at Arnold. You can get big, right? But what if there's a way to do it in a lot less time? It turns out, how quickly can you exhaust the muscles? Mm-hmm. And if you can do that in 1 or in 3 or 4 repetitions without getting injured, that's amazing.
Yeah, the injury part's a key thing.
So if you go to Upgrade Labs, and again, you don't have to go to one. You can open one in your town. Everything in the book, there's an at-home version or a free version.
Yeah.
What we do there is we have an AI-driven system that resists you in a way that iron plates cannot. So your muscles get overwhelmed very, very quickly. And once that happens, they were overwhelmed, then there was recovery, then you put on muscle 3 times and maybe even up to 5 times faster than picking up heavy
So you would
things.
do like 3 sets of like 1 to 3 reps, is that it? Or
Yeah. You would do that. And at Upgrade Labs, I only do the big muscle groups for you there. And my goal is you're going to spend less than 10 minutes once a week on your muscles and have the muscles you want. I'm not going to get the back of the tricep head. If you want to be a bodybuilder, go work on that because you love it. What I'm telling you is that most people, if we do your quads, your butt, your chest, and your lats, like some rowing muscles, you're going to get all the big muscle groups that control your metabolism. And then you're not going to have sarcopenia, and you're going to have less diabetes if you have enough muscles.
Yeah.
So this is really important stuff, and it doesn't take much time because we can exhaust it quickly. At home,
what would you do?
What you realize is that your whole body is afraid of gravity. And it's afraid of gravity because if you pick up, say, a dumbbell, it's going to wobble a little bit. When it wobbles, gravity makes it accelerate. And the little sensors in your wrist, your elbow, your shoulder, they're called proprioceptors. And they sense that gravity's there. So they're going to tell you, you can't pick up anything heavier. You could pick up something heavier, but it knows that if it wobbles, the wobble will make it even heavier and then you'd get injured. So it's holding back something like 70% of your possible ability to apply pressure.
Interesting.
Because it knows, it feels gravity. So let's remove gravity. Right? And I go through all the different technologies that let you do this. And one of the interesting ones is a resistance band. Just a rubber resistance band.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Resistance bands change the resistance against the muscles to something that's foreign to them, so they don't know how to defend against it. Because they know how to deal with gravity. They don't know how to deal with something that changes when you move.
Yeah.
So they get overwhelmed more quickly and they grow more quickly. And there are studies showing 3 times better muscle growth. You can use electrical stimulation.
I actually use the bands. That's how I've sort of, because I don't want to injure myself. So I found them extremely effective, and it's amazing what they do.
And they're a lot lighter to carry around than the kettlebells in my suitcase. The airlines don't like that, right? So, and this is not against bodybuilding. If you love that stuff, just most people, like I'm a dad. I have 2 teenagers. I have 8 companies. I write New York Times bestsellers like you, a big podcast and a life. And you know what? I love my life, but I don't want to spend 8 hours a week in the gym. I just don't. Right. And if you do want to do that, you can, but then your stress response is going to be much higher than you think. So you have to eat and sleep like someone who's being hunted often. And that's okay. You can choose that lifestyle.
Yeah.
But it's a choice and it's not necessary. It's that I believe that we all believed hard work gets results. Do you know anyone in your life who's worked really hard their whole life and didn't get any results?
Not too many.
Really? I know a lot of people have because they had bad luck. Because they got screwed by someone.
For sure.
And sometimes you work really hard on things that don't matter.
Yeah, well, that's true. That I've done a lot of.
Yeah, me too. I've wasted a lot of time, right?
So I could get those hours back.
Right.
So basically you're talking about resistance bands. There's other techniques, though. What about blood flow restriction?
I do talk about blood flow restriction in there. With blood flow restriction, you put cuffs on your arms.
Yeah.
That restrict some but not all blood flow. And then you can do exercise with far lower amount of weight or with resistance bands, whatever you want, and you'll put muscle on more quickly. So all I did is I went through all the literature and I said, okay, here's everything that puts muscle on faster than picking up rocks. And it turns out there's a whole set of things, and then I stack rank them. So, in order, this one, then this one, then this one.
Go through them. I think people would be interested to hear about what those are. Because I talk a lot about muscle as part of my longevity work and that conversation. So it is one of the central features of staying healthy and functional as you get older, and both metabolically and just physically functional.
The top one is the AI-driven resistance, because you can put so much force through your muscles. Like I did
but you need a machine for that.
You need a machine for that. I did a 1,600-pound belt squat. Okay, now, if I did that with real weights, I would have destroyed my body. As it was, this destroyed my shoes. Like literally, it ruined my $200 athletic shoes because they were like pancakes, right? And it's because I didn't have to deal with gravity, and my muscles hurt for a week. Like I really, really got to work out, and that was 1 rep.
Wow.
Right. And so you can do this safely because if you drop a weight or you wobble, it tears something. Yeah. But with a machine that moves at a slow rate, nothing gets injured. But so let's say we don't have a machine for that. If you go home, resistance bands, electrical muscle stimulation, EMS, not TENS units, but proper EMS, you can put muscle on very quickly that way. I do that sometimes when I travel.
So tell us what that is.
This is when you get a machine. Usually you go to a clinic. There's a few companies now who are selling them for home use, but these are more than $1,000, between $1,000 and $5,000 systems. Or you go to a facility that does it, and you stick electrodes, or sometimes like a vest, if you want to wear wet clothes underneath it, which I'm not a fan of. But you put a electrode where you want the muscle to be, and you turn the machine up. And in fact, I do this at parties at my house. And you turn the machine up, and suddenly your operating system, your body says, I can't do that. And instead you just focus and you do it anyway. What's going is I'm telling the muscle with electricity, here's the amount of force you're going to do. And it thinks it can't do it and then you just make it do it anyway. And as soon as you do 1 repetition, all of a sudden you have no problem doing it. So what you're doing is you're resetting your operating system to realize it's going to have to be able to carry more. It's so afraid of getting injured that it won't turn on anywhere close to what it's capable of. And a lot of what we're doing in the gym is just showing the body it can do it. Right. You can use the electricity to show the body you can do it a lot faster.
So you've got the AI-driven resistance, you've got bands, you've got the electrical stim,
you've got blood flow
restriction.
And even if you're going to pick up rocks, it turns out that there are some techniques that work better than what you're probably doing. And the biggest thing you can do is super slow on the down part of the motion. So as you're setting the weight back down, eccentric, but 10-second slow. And all of these, there's studies that show you put muscle on more quickly. So I don't want to go to the gym. Because my operating system wants to save energy, I'm fundamentally lazy. All of my companies exist because I'm lazy. Right? Laziness drives human progress. I didn't want to walk, so I rode a horse. I didn't want to shovel poop, so I built a car. I didn't want to deal with the car, so I flew in an airplane. We're all lazy, and it drives progress. And by acknowledging that's part of my workout philosophy. My workouts are down to 15 minutes a week, and I'm healthier. I have more muscle.
And you can measure VO2 max, and you measure strength, all the objective metrics, you're stronger.
Yep. My bone density is off the charts. Like, I had a hard time cutting through my bones in a recent surgery I had. Like the saw slowed down on my bone. And the surgeon's like, what is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
why are they chopping your bones, Dave?
I had an old yoga injury that healed wrong. So,
damn yoga.
I will tell you, if you get an injury in a joint, you probably should get that looked at, quickly instead of waiting 7 years to get it looked at. So I had to rebuild the joint in my big toe. That was crow pose, kicking back to plank. So, and I stubbed my toe really hard and just never got it fixed.
Oh no,
that was really stupid. I should have seen someone.
So, is there any more on that list?
On the muscle list, off the top of my head, I think we've got all those. There's some things around just getting adequate amounts of animal protein to build muscle. If you put the signal into the body and you're lacking minerals, especially trace minerals, your body can't adapt quickly enough, and we're all depleted of minerals, so workouts don't work. Meditation doesn't work. Minerals are the substrate for any signal that comes into your body. The body says, do I have minerals? Do I have proteins? And do I have fats? And those are the things that get mixed up to make new enzymes, to make body parts. And if you're lacking any of those, you get a stress response because you can't adapt.
It's such an interesting point you're making, and I want to highlight this because it's at the center of functional medicine, which is you are constantly providing inputs to your system,
yes,
that are good or bad, and these inputs are being translated into biological signals that are registering in every cell and every gene in every pathway of your body,
yes,
and regulating everything. So your thoughts are biological response modifiers. Your diet, exercise, your stress levels, hot and cold temperature, every possible thing you can think of translates into your biology through some kind of biological response modification that is a signal to do good or bad, to heal or to hurt. And that's such a powerful framework for thinking about things. So everything you're talking about is how do you use the latest science to rethink what we're doing so that we can provide the right signals and the right dose at the right amount for the right amount of time to achieve the optimum results.
You nailed it. You could also call it applied epigenetics.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And for listeners, epigenetics, the science of how the environment turns genes on and off. We just hadn't figured out, when we didn't have enough data, even 5 years ago, to write Smarter, Not Harder, because we had to be able to say, all right, what's the difference between doing this versus this, and comparing them across enough people, and then understanding some pathways. And in the case of cardio, it's the only time where the slope of the curve biology isn't always true, as far as I can tell, because of something called Zone 2 cardio.
Yeah.
Have you covered that on the show?
No. Tell us about Zone 2 cardio.
So Zone 2 cardio is something, if you're going to do it, it takes an hour and a half to 3 hours a week, which is more than I'm willing to invest. So I don't do it. But there's good science that says you might want to do it. And without a heart rate monitor, you can't do it. Zone 2 cardio is this weird small window of intensity that's faster than walking, or as fast as fast walking maybe, but slower than jogging. And if you can keep your heart rate in a narrow window, that narrow window is what drives your mitochondria to burn fat directly. So it turns out there is a fat burning pace of exercise, but it's not working harder.
Slower than you think.
It's working at a very precise window. And so I tell you how to calculate the specific heart rate for you in the book.
For Zone 2.
For Zone 2. And there's
because we have calculations based on our age, but they're not really accurate. Because I'm 63 and I was exercising that day. My heart rate was 172. It shouldn't get that high. Technically, if you look at what defines a maximal heart rate of a 63-year-old, it ain't 172.
I'm just going to say something. You should pick your about 35 heart rate, and that should be your heart rate for life. If you're saying young, I don't know, young forever. And I think 172 is about where it would have been when you were 35. So for you to say, well, my heart rate's the way it should be for my age, screw that. That's not okay. My testosterone level is where when I was 30, at least if I was healthy when I was 30, my testosterone's higher now than when I was 30, because when I was 30, my testosterone was lower than my mom's. Because
that's what I'm saying. We don't have to follow those rules. I mean, my heart rate maximally should be 157 based on, standard medical thinking. But it was 172 yesterday.
Yeah.
So, how does that work. That means my body is actually younger.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are in this space now, and it's very crowded.
Love
It's
that.
very cluttered. There's a lot of garbage, a lot of noise, a lot of BS, in my opinion. And
Big echo chamber. Yeah.
it's a big echo chamber. And I think, you know, we're not getting to what the essence of this is, which is what is the real way to enhance our body's own innate biological systems in the most effective, efficient, and powerful way so we can feel good, do what we want to do in life, and live a long, healthy